Foam management. Is foam causing you problems, costing you money, or creating a efficacy issue for the products you're trying to put on your fields? Not good in this environmental situation and the economics in farming. We're talking about foam and how to manage it so it doesn't cause you problems and cost you money in this episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
Welcome to XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve podcast, where real farmers share real insights and real results to help you improve your farming operation. And now, here's your host, Damian Mason.
Hey, welcome to another fantastic episode of XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve. Got a good one for you today. We did a shortcut video with Jeremy Geerts, and he is with SprayTec, and we did that at Farm Progress Show. It's really, I wanted to cover it in a more in-depth, and we got Kevin Matthews here to help us do that. In short, there's farms around the country that are putting out product that's got a whole bunch of foam, or you're mismanaging your foam, or your sprayer is 20% foam. And it's a big deal that you might not even be thinking that much about. And that's why the short video that covered only like 50 seconds is, let's go a little more in depth with this. Jeremy, Kevin says, hey, I've been managing it for a long, long time. I use your products. It helps me make it not an issue. But you said there's a lot of farms out here that they're going to the field with a sprayer that's got a bunch of foam in it. That's really difficult economics when you figure that sprayer costs a lot of money and you're running down the road with it less than full. And then you also got the economics of the product. And then also, to Kevin's point, we'll get to the environmental aspect of it. If you're managing your foam by just letting it bubble over the top or spraying it out the boom, because then it's wasting product and putting it where it doesn't need to be. So let's talk about the reality of the problem, foam.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're looking at foam, we can be tying up anywhere between 20 and 30% of our active ingredient and our herbicide in that foam. That right there, not only does that cause a big economic downfall for the farm, that can be an environmental as well. And I say that because, one, if we're leaving that foam in the tank, say you're got 1,000-gallon tank, you're only able to put 900 gallons of water in it, but you've got 1,000 gallons worth of herbicide in there, you're over applying. If you push that foam out, now you've created an environmental issue on the ground right where you push that out, and suddenly your rate has gone the other way where you're under applying, possibly helping continue that resistance, the weed resistance issue that we've got going now.
I think we should talk about, Kevin, the first part there, that you don't think about it. I'm sure a lot of guys don't think about it. We're putting ounces per acre, and then that obviously correlates to the gallons in the sprayer. And obviously there's a lot of sprayer, what do you call it, sprayer calibration. And if you've got enough to cover your, 200 acres, and then you don't factor in the fact that you actually don't have the right amount of water because a bunch of it foamed up and you couldn't get your sprayer full, you could be off by 20% on the amount per acre, which means
Absolutely.
It's costing you money, but also it could even have some side effects.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. I look at the foam buildup as just like going to the field with an uncalibrated sprayer. And you're going to that field and you're spraying, and then, you go back and your scout looks, or you go look and you don't have a good kill, or you still got disease, and you put the right fungicide out. I bought the right thing. I didn't have none left over, so I know I put the right amount out. But the problem is, you put it in the tank. But if you got 1,000-gallon capacity tank and you're putting out 10 gallons an acre, so then that's 100 acres on a fill up, and you only get 900 gallons in there, and the other 100 gallons of space in the tank is filled with foam, then you've actually cut your overall rate by 10%, but you've also used the possibility you've increased your herbicide by 10%, and then to a point that you could cause crop damage.
Right.
So, one, did you push that foam out on the ground and create the environmental issue as Jeremy is just speaking about? And then you also open yourself up for a door of having a situation that you got a low rate because you might have you don't know what part of that foam went out. Was that the 1/3 of an ounce per acre product, and now you're only putting 1/10 of an ounce?
You just made the exact point here that I think is where someone might just dismiss this. Okay, I got some foam in my tank. Jeremy, you probably see this. Be like, we're not in the old days where you kind of like go up and put your finger up in the wind and say, maybe this. You're talking about ounces per acre. We talk about tips. I think we're at Kevin's farm. We talked about tips. I know it's at Chad's farm. We talked about tips to make sure that your droplet size is the right droplet to get the most penetration down into the canopy. When we're doing this level of scientific application, and then we're just, oh yeah, I don't give a damn, there's some foam in there. To Kevin's point, we might have just misused the product by a factor of 10%. Well, being 10% off on something that's that precise, it's a bigger problem than people think about, economically and environmentally.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. And, tying into all that, foam's not just an issue when we're filling. Foam can be an issue, too, when that tank's getting empty. So then, we get foam in the bottom of the tank. You try to push it a little bit too far, work that into the boom. Now we can start with, if we get foam out to the tips, we can start having some more off-target movement, too, because that foam is going to be more driftable than what that water solution is going to be as well.
I'm not a plumber, but Kevin, answer me this. I just had to shut my water off yesterday, and when we turn it back on, it goes for about a minute. Doesn't that same thing happen toward the end of the sprayer load? And if I got foam in there, it's trying to grab a product, but it's grabbing foam, which is air, and it's going to go, which means while I'm driving across that field, there's a bunch of swaths that are going to get, and they get the product.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it can cause all kinds of issues. We call it cavitation. Your pump's cavitating, and it's getting air instead of product. And then you put it throughout the whole system, and it can be it can really mess some things up, actually. So it's not something you just want to do.
So what's your thing? You said, listen, I've been managing the foam issue for a long, long time. Is it as simple as using a product like SprayTec's adjuvant, or is there? Or I'm guessing there's more to it. Pressure, how you fill, whatever. Give me how you handle foam, how you make it so you don't have foam.
We've been using the FullTec adjuvant for several years, and it's just not an issue. We don't even think about it no more. And we wasn't looking at it mainly for foam. That's just part of the benefits. That's just one of the very few benefits of the adjuvant, and that's what I like about it. Personally, my biggest thing is the drift component of it, and then the spreader, the way it gets on the plants and gets the product in there. I just get more money, more of the efficacy out of the use of the products I'm using when I use that, and then I don't have to deal with the foam. But I think what happens is a lot of times is we get in a rush and we're filling these sprayers and we're dealing with the foam, and we fight it the best way we can, put some defoamer, different things in. But we've all, including myself, are guilty of, pushing some foam out. You don't know you got foam till it starts coming out the top of the tank lots of times. And then you've done put it on the ground, and then you're trying to fight it in the tank after you done got maybe 90% of your solution in there, 95%. There's certain products, you might only have a half a tank in, and it'll foam that whole tank up. So you got to know the right order to put them in. And that's another thing too, Damian. We got to remember as growers out there, just because we use a product to take care of the foam, we got to remember when to put the correct products into the tank to try to prevent the foaming up front, to not need that anti-foamer. So it's not like I'm going to buy a four-wheel drive truck and I'll never get stuck again. Yeah. That's not the case. You got to remember, I shouldn't be driving through that hole right there because I don't think I'm going to get through it. Yeah. And you can only expect so much.
So, Jeremy, I want you to help me out here. First off, go through your tips to a producer to prevent foam besides just using your product. There's other stuff. I'm guessing pressure has to do with it. I'm guessing, obviously, fill rate. You can go on about that. And then I want to get into some of the economics on rough numbers on why I think it matters. So you go out to somebody and they say, I don't have a foam problem. You say, well, actually, you do. So take me from there, and then how you help them work through this.
Yeah. So actually, one of the big things that I saw this year when there were some foam issues that I got pictures on, going out there talking with the grower on how he was filling, He was using a 3-inch pump, which is great. You can fill fast, but that water's coming in and the product's coming into that tank at a high rate. And then he had his agitation turned on his sprayer. Agitation on a sprayer is great, but we get into trouble if we have too much pressure in that and we're really creating a boil in the tank. That's what we want to try to avoid. We want to get a good mix, but we don't want to be overkill on that agitation side.
So obviously, you got to have your agitation because otherwise, product settles out. You got to keep stuff in solution or suspension, right, Kevin? So that's where. Well, is that an issue of pressure? Is that your pump's moving too fast and it just creates a turgid foam?
Well, Jeremy brings up a great point, Damian. Something I've been doing for several years is I do not have my agitation pump running at all when I'm filling my tank. The reason I do that is I may put something in there, and we at XtremeAg, we use some crazy stuff. We do some crazy trials, you know that. And what I've learned to kind of safeguard me against plugging stuff, stopping stuff up, water is your best friend when you're mixing stuff. Water can correct a lot of problems. So I like to get the total solution into the tank and then get into sprayer and cut my agitation on. I'm not a fan of having that agitation running at the beginning because let's think about this. If we're putting product A in and we're putting 5 products in and it needs so much water and then B only needs so much water, it's just a lot better if we just shoot it all in that tank and then hit the agitation. Because you got to remember when that, as Jeremy stated, on a 3-inch pump, which we use a 2-inch because I just would prefer to fill it a little bit slower on mine. It just works for me. I ain't saying it's right. It gives me a break from sitting in the sprayer all day long. But we like to fill it a little bit slower. That real fast, rapid fill is putting tremendous velocity into that spray tank, that solution tank.
Yep.
And, and we're talking about doing your hot mix in your spray tank right here. We're not talking about having a separate hot mix tank or truck out there. But whenever you're creating the original hot mix, I prefer not to have the agitation on unless I'm using a dry powder or something that I've got to really have a lot of agitation to get it to dissolve up.
Right. Which we don't use a lot of powders anymore like the old days, right?
Actually, a lot of your foliar fertilizers now, you'd be surprised at the different products that's coming out there that's like that. So there's more out there.
So the person that's listening says, well, then what do? You keep your agitation tank on. I'm guessing you probably wait until later to later into fill?
Yeah, as soon as I get all my ingredients in and I'm just pumping water to finish out the top of the tank, then I'll cut it on. I'm safe then.
Okay, so the product that you're talking about, though, that from SprayTec is FullTec, and that's the adjuvant that does the foam mitigation.
Yeah, and I kind of put it in. It also reduces the pH as well in that water, and that's really, really important with a lot of the products that we're using. And we actually check our pH periodically in that spray solution tank. A lot of people say, well, I'll check it in my water and I'll put some FullTec in or a pH reducer and see what it is. You need to check it when you got all your ingredients in that tank. That way, you know what the issue is. You know exactly what's going on.
All right. So the numbers, the person that's kind of poo-pooing this, Jeremy, you're a good Indiana farm guy. So you go out there and then these people say, all right, you're talking me into reducing the foam. Give me the economic case for it. I already got the time. I already got the fact that I'm driving down the road with a $600,000 sprayer that's only at 80% full. That's a waste of money. I'm guessing a little bit of loss of product. So give me some numbers.
Yeah. So, I guess I don't know exactly where the costs. I'm going to use glufosinate right now. Let's talk about glufosinate in that tank. We're going to lose 5 gallons, whether it's because we're over applying or we're under applying, and we really should add more in if we push that foam out. Let's just throw that at a cost of $20 per gallon. Now we're having to add 4 to 5 more gallons into there. So we're at $80 to $100 right there.
Right. And that's per load. Per load.
That's per load that we're either over applying, so we're wasting that money, or we really need to add in to make sure that we're getting the good weed kill that we want. Time is going to be another big one. Once you get that foam in that tank, it can take 10, 15 minutes at times to get that out. Then you've got that added stop out in the field if you're having to break that foam up towards the end of the load as well. Those are going to be the big costs right there.
Well, the big cost on product that you just said. All right, so if a sprayer covers, if you're covering, to use Kevin's example, it's $100 on 100 acres, it's $1 an acre. You're like, oh, what's the big deal? It's $1 an acre. But the other one I think that I just heard you say is misapplication. If you're under applying, now you're creating a potential for you got to go and treat it again, or worse yet, you're contributing to the
resistance of weeds. Yeah.
And that's a hell of a cost that amortizes over time, right, Kevin?
Yeah, and I think we as farmers, a lot of us over the years has been guilty of that. We're trying to maybe cut, tight times in the economy right now, and maybe we can get by with 18 ounces instead of 20 ounces of this product. The weeds are real small, but then you get out there in the field and realize, well, they're a little bit bigger, but I've already mixed it, so I'm going to go ahead and get it sprayed, and if I need to come back. The problem is just like what Tyler said is...
Jeremy.
I'm sorry about that. But it's just like Jeremy said on the... I'm getting bombarded here in harvest. But when you lose a percentage of that active ingredient,
yeah.
What is the efficacy degradation that we're creating?
Yeah.
Nobody knows the answer to that, right. But we really need to be observant and try to put out the correct amounts. And we also need to make sure that we're putting the correct pH carrier in there so that these products can work properly. And Damian, it humbles me being in this group that 10 years ago, I really didn't know that. I never thought about the pH in my spray solution and my
right.
carrier water. I never did. Right. And then I'm sitting here looking at, well, maybe if I'd have knew that, yeah. And I knew in 1998 at Monsanto's headquarters that they wanted a pH, around 4 for Roundup to work. But I never thought nothing about it. I knew what our water was, and it was what it was, and we'd treat it and try to bring it down a little bit, but we didn't focus on it that hard. Maybe as farmers, if we had focused on that early on, we wouldn't be fighting these Roundup resistant issues that we are today.
And that's a subject for another recording, because we talked about pH in fact, I went and got my water tested just because I was curious what my pH was. Because of recording, I did with the SprayTec guys. It wasn't Jeremy. Because
it might have been Tyler.
Or wasn't Tyler either. Hey, you get a pass on that. It's harvest time. You got a lot on your mind, so you call somebody the wrong name. Hell, I called somebody the wrong name the other day, and I'm not even spending 12 hours a day in the combine, so it's all right. But about foam, to get us out of here on this, I think the issue, of course, is you got a product. It probably allows you a little bit. I can have the pressure a little bit wrong. I can make a few mistakes by using the FullTec, because now otherwise I'm walking on eggshells to make sure that I don't screw up the batch, and then all of a sudden it costs me the problems. Is that an accurate statement, Jeremy?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And one thing about it with the FullTec in there, it's going to be the first thing in the tank, because we want that water treated. So
I've been doing that wrong, Damian.
Put it in first. Put it in first. If you put it in last, does it have less effectiveness?
Putting it in last, it's not going to work as well at conditioning the water, because there's already could be some tie up with the herbicides. And the way that our anti-foam defoamer is built, it's 80% anti-foam, 20% defoamer. Mm. So our effectiveness of being able to cut that foam isn't quite as good. Now, it still does a really good job of cutting the foam, but by going in on the front side,
it uses just 80% of the product that is designed to anti-foam versus the 20%, which is if it's already too late, and that's
yeah.
Which, by the way, the sample that we showed at the Farm Prior show was more showing the defoaming, because you shake up a jar and make it all foamy as all get out, and then you dump that stuff in there. Yeah.
Yep. So we're really doing that backwards when we show that, but it's hard to hard to be able to do that demonstration the other way around.
All right, so Kevin wonders if it was worth his time to climb out of the combine and record this. And what we just discovered is, yes, it was, because you need to put the FullTec adjuvant in at the first thing.
First thing.
And then you capitalize. Then you get its full effectiveness, I think, is the issue.
Yeah.
All right, so if I am now realizing, because I'm listening to this, that foam's a problem. I got the environmental aspect like Kevin talked about. It's running out the top of the tank, or I'm spraying it out my boom to try and clear it. It's environmentally wrong because I'm putting stuff just in the driveway or in a barn lot or where it doesn't need to be. Second part of it is I'm misusing the ratios, either underapplying or overapplying. And then that brings into the economics aspect of it. Plus, you're going out there with you're using your time and your equipment. So have I made the case environmental and economic? I think is there anything I missed, Jeremy?
No, I think you pretty well covered it there. The frustration, frustration of foam is probably the biggest thing and number one thing that guys have with it.
And Kevin's been managing it for a long time to avoid the frustration. You got enough frustrations. You don't need to foam frustration.
Yeah, I do enough out of ignorance to create frustrations. I don't need to add to it.
So it's interesting. He called the thing cavitation. I'm going to make sure that we pull that out for a promo clip so people can see the cavitation discussion. Anyway, if I want to learn more about this to prevent foam, because I'm now realizing it's an environmental and economic cost to me, where do I go? I pulled up my phone. Jeremy?
Yep. You on your phone, you can go to SprayTecUSA.com.
SprayTecUSA.com. Right there's our website. His name's Jeremy Geerts, and he's with Kevin Matthews and a shadow guy named Tyler that's somewhere floating around here. My name's Damian Mason. This is a great episode of Cutting the Curve with XtremeAg. If you learn from it, share it with somebody that can benefit from it. Also, remember, there's hundreds of videos guys like Kevin shoot out in their field that you can use. It's a library of free information at XtremeAg.farm. Hundreds of episodes of this show right here, Cutting the Curve, at XtremeAg.farm. While you're there, check out our new show, The Granary. Kevin's been there. It's a bunch of farm guys sitting around talking about the real, the personal, the professional, and everything in between about agriculture. So go check it all out at XtremeAg.farm. And also, you might go ahead and click subscribe on our YouTube channel. Till next time, thanks for being here. This is XtremeAg's Cutting the Curve.
That's a wrap for this episode of Cutting the Curve. Make sure to check out XtremeAg.farm for more great content to help you squeeze more profit out of your farming operation.